Bombshell, Gooners, Real Madrid have just agreed a deal for Yan Diomande, and the ripple effect of that signing could directly open the door for Arsenal to pull off the most sensational transfer in the club's entire history. Meanwhile, Fabrizio Romano has just confirmed on his YouTube channel that Arsenal are returning to the table for Bruno Guimaraes next week, with direct negotiations imminent and a specific bid amount now being reported that could finally force Newcastle's hand. This is shaping up to be the most extraordinary week in Arsenal's transfer window, and you absolutely cannot afford to miss a single second of what is about to unfold. If you want every detail on these massive stories as this window prepares to explode, subscribe right now, turn on notifications, and let's get straight into it. Let's jump straight into the first story because Fabrizio Romano has just confirmed the deal that every Arsenal fan needed to happen, and it has nothing to do with the Gunners directly. Real Madrid have agreed a fee in excess of €100 million with RB Leipzig for 19-year-old winger Yan Diomande. Here we go confirmed, medical being arranged, contract until 2031. And for Arsenal, this is potentially the most consequential piece of transfer news of the entire summer. Here is why. Vinicius Jr has 1 year remaining on his Real Madrid contract. Renewal talks have been completely stuck for months, with no breakthrough in sight. Real Madrid have already signalled internally that rather than lose their star player for free in 2027, they would be open to a sale if the right offer arrives, and now they have just committed over €100 million to a 19-year-old winger on a 5-year contract, a player many observers believe is being signed specifically as Vinicius's long-term replacement in the squad. Think about the logic of what Real Madrid have just done. You do not spend €100 million on a direct positional replacement for a player you are completely confident of keeping. You spend €100 million on that player's successor when you have accepted at some level that the current incumbent's time is drawing to a close. The logjam in wide positions that Diomande's arrival creates, with Mbappe, Bellingham, Rodrigo, Camavinga and now Diomande all competing for attacking roles, makes Vinicius' departure more commercially and tactically logical for Real Madrid than at any previous point in this saga. The numbers that Vinicius would bring to Arsenal are genuinely staggering when placed alongside what the club has been working with. 22 goals and 10 assists last season, 23 goals and 19 assists the season before, 24 goals and 9 assists the season before that, 5 consecutive seasons with over 20 goals. For context, Arsenal's top scorer in the Premier League last season was Victor Gyökeres with 14 league goals. The difference between what Arsenal currently have and what Vinicius Jr provides is not incremental, it is generational. And if the truly extraordinary vision materialises, Vinicius on the left, Alvarez through the middle, Saka on the right, Rice and Guimarães behind them, Arsenal would not just be competing for the Champions League, they would be the overwhelming favourites for it. The Diomande deal at Real Madrid is the domino that starts the sequence. Arsenal must be positioned perfectly to catch the one that falls their way. Berta, this is the moment the entire summer has been building towards. So Gooner's wine, with Diomande now heading to Real Madrid and the Vinicius door potentially swinging open, do you genuinely believe Arsenal can pull off the most sensational signing in their entire history this summer? Drop your most honest prediction in the comments right now. I want to know exactly what you think. Now let's talk about Bruno Guimaraes, because Fabrizio Romano has just delivered the update that every single Gooner has been waiting weeks to hear, and his specific language about what happens next should give every Arsenal fan genuine and well-founded optimism heading into what promises to be the most important transfer week of the entire summer. Romano was unambiguous on his YouTube channel. Arsenal are expected to return to the table next week for Bruno Guimaraes. Mikel Arteta considers Bruno a top priority, so Arsenal are expected to be back in direct negotiations with Newcastle. It is going to be an important week of new contacts. The player has already agreed personal terms with Arsenal. He is viewed as the perfect midfielder for Mikel Arteta. Arsenal are not giving up. Direct negotiations next week. The player has already agreed personal terms. Arsenal are not giving up. from Fabrizio Romano, the most connected journalist in world football. That is not encouragement or optimism wrapped in careful language. That is a concrete description of what is about to happen between two Premier League clubs. And the financial picture around those talks has also just become clearer than it has been at any point in this saga. Mundo Deportivo are reporting that Arsenal are ready to pay up to £77 million to sign Guimarães, with a formal bid of £70 million expected to be submitted in the coming hours. Should Newcastle reject that opening offer, which they almost certainly will, Arsenal are willing to increase to approximately €90 million, which translates to around £77 to £80 million. And critically, that is described as the maximum Arsenal are willing to pay. The ceiling has been set, the bid is being prepared, and Newcastle now have a very clear decision to make. Eddie Howe was asked about Guimarães' future on Saturday after a pre-season friendly against Gateshead, and his answer was telling in what it did not say. I've had some really good conversations with him before the World Cup, during the World Cup, and after the World Cup. What we speak about has to remain private. He's just a great player, a great person. I don't know what's going to happen with Bruno's future. That's for other people to speculate about. They are conversations that I'm not part of. A manager who is completely confident of keeping his star player does not speak like that. That is a man who knows the situation is complicated and is choosing his words with extreme care. The competitive landscape also works in Arsenal's favour right now. Chelsea are not pursuing Guimarães. Manchester United are focused on Tyler Adams and Manu Cohn. Manchester City might enter if Rodri leaves, but that scenario remains speculative. Right now, Arsenal are the only serious buyer in this market, and Newcastle know it. A club with no financial pressure but whose own captain has publicly expressed his desire to leave, sitting across the table from the only club willing to pay anywhere near the asking price. That is a negotiation that has a finite number of outcomes. The Community Shield against Manchester City is on August the 16th. Arsenal want this done before then. Next week is the week. So Gooner's Pratspam, with Romano confirming direct talks next week and Arsenal ready to go to £77 to £80 million. Do you believe this is finally the week the Guimarães deal gets done? And is £80 million the right price to pay for a 28-year-old, even one as elite as Guimarães? Drop every single thought in the comments right now because I want the full debate. Arsenal could suddenly be about to pull off a Sol Campbell repeat from Tottenham. In 2001, Sol Campbell walked out of Tottenham on a free transfer to sign for Arsenal. It is without doubt one of the most controversial and audacious transfers in Premier League history, and still leaves Spurs fans furious to this day. 25 years later, could history be about to repeat itself? Well, if Saturday morning's Italian press is to be believed, maybe. Corriere dello Sport report that Arsenal are among the clubs interested in signing Cristian Romero from Tottenham. The Argentina international's future looks increasingly likely to be away from Spurs, with Inter Milan leading the race after making contact with his representatives. It should be stated that Romero's agent was spotted in Milan on Friday, so there's a strong indication that a move to the San Siro is progressing. Spurs are now willing to lower their initial €50 million asking price. It's highly doubtful that will be the case if the Gunners make an unlikely approach. Could Arsenal really sign Cristian Romero from Tottenham? Say what you want about Romero, but when he is fit and focused, he is one of the best defenders in the Premier League. And Arsenal are obviously now in need of a centre-back, given William Saliba's condition. The Gunners are reluctant to match Aston Villa's price for Ezri Konsa, and the relationship between those two clubs has likely strained since the Morgan Rogers saga. Other names like John Martin and Zeno de Bast have been mooted around, but it's not guaranteed that they would hit the ground running in England. Romero has proved he can. He has his flaws, but pairing him with Gabriel Magalhaes would make up the most aggressive and dominant centre-back partnership in Europe. Imagine how many cages that would rattle too. The blood it would boil. Would Spurs sell him to Arsenal? Almost certainly not. And there is every chance this link has come directly from Romero's camp to drive up Inter's offer or force Spurs to sell quickly. Agents do this sort of thing all the time, but it is interesting, and given what Sol Campbell did in 2001, well, stranger things have happened. Alright Gooners, smash that subscribe button right now if you haven't already joined this family. This is shaping up to be the most extraordinary week of Arsenal's entire summer, and you absolutely cannot afford to miss a single moment. Hit that button immediately, it is completely free, and you will get every update the instant it breaks. Until next time, Gooners, come on you Gunners!